Hi, welcome to this new segment I'm going to call Two Sides. Today's segment is going to be about this woman, Martina Big, who decided she was transracial. I'm at Columbia University to ask a few students what their thoughts are on this woman, Martina Big. I'm talking about this woman, Martina Big, who is a white woman who has transitioned to becoming a black woman. Have you heard about her?
Is this the one that everyone? Is this another one that everyone talks about? Because there's like the famous woman who
Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, Rachel.
No, yeah,
it's
this is a different woman.
New woman.
Just interested in your thoughts. What are your thoughts on someone, transitioning to being one race into another race?
It seems that she has these ideas of like what a African American or black woman should look like, and then she like projects almost like her own ideas of that onto her new transformation, which is a little suspicious to me. It just seems kind of weird. It doesn't feel right, and also like I think it's sort of trivializing like.
So it's mainly
features.
just like what she looks like, not necessarily the idea of her changing her race that's unsettling.
The idea is unsettling, but what's more unsettling is that for some reason, I don't know, maybe she's like super woke, but like it just seems like this is like a white person who's like, I want to have features that like a black woman has, and like let me just like do that. And it's like it's not that simple. Like we all are different people, we all look different, and like we have our lives. So like I think that's a little bit of a switch you can't make. It's not cool.
I think it's totally okay. Like it's not my personal view that I would ever do it, but I think it's totally fine if people want to do it. On the other hand, I'm a bit surprised because usually people tend to go like from black to white rather. But I really don't want to stop anyone in their own expression of their how they want to be.
I think in general, just, I don't know, this idea of like transracial, but specifically from this like canonical image of a beauty to one that isn't, like, I don't know, we associate like these beauty standards with Barbie and things like that. So in that way I find this like positive, just like the idea of a changing standard of beauty. But I personally don't support this.
You find an issue in how she
decided to represent herself.
So I don't want to impose on the freedom of people to do what they want, but the other problem is that when what you're changing to is sort of like infringing on who people are, it's who other people are. It's kind of problematic. This is it's like a tough situation between personal liberties to be able to identify as who you want to, but also taking other people's identity is another problem. So it's a complicated issue, and I don't really have an answer for it. But it's also Germany, and Germans, we do weird things sometimes. Like, just weird things happen.
So she decided to transition from being a white woman into a black woman?
I have heard of her.
And I just wanted to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's okay for a person to change their race, and maybe talk about her specifically?
No, I personally think that it tends to reinforce stereotypes. The idea of being transracial is like, it ties into the notion that being a race means presenting in a specific way and talking in a specific way, and I think that like the idea of sort of physically changing yourself to be a spectacle for a certain race is a little bit insulting.
All right, so can I get your quick thoughts on like how that might differ from being transgender? Do you support transgender?
I guess, I don't know. I don't, her particularly I find to be a mockery. Like, I think people, when they're talking about being transgender, it tends to be like this is something that's come through for years, and it's like an understanding of themselves, and a lot of them tend to like express as the opposite gender very, very young, and I can't imagine it's the same thing with being transracial.
Part of me is like, whoa, that's really weird, and that's like kind of like offensive almost, but then part of me is just like, I mean, like, who am I to say who she can be or she can't be? So I guess it's like, I don't really have like a solid opinion, but it'd probably take me like a little time to like develop one.
Do you think it's different from being transgender? Do you think it's the same? What are your thoughts?
I don't really know. Like, I think it's like similar in a way where you're born a certain way and you feel more like a different way, so that when you have that ability to transition and you take it, like, people shouldn't judge you. But on the other hand of the spectrum, it's like, I don't know, it's like something I haven't really like interacted with before, and I don't know, I feel like there's like parts of being a certain race where like it's not something you can move into as fluidly. I don't really know.
Since I'm not necessarily as negatively affected by race as other people, I don't know if I can necessarily speak to what someone would feel about changing that or trying to address race in that sort of way. But just like my immediate perception of it is that maybe in an era in which we're beginning to deconstruct and criticize constructs like gender and race in the same way that someone might be able to be transgender if they feel like there's something in their identity which goes against the way society has constructed something that they project upon themselves. Maybe there's a possibility for something like for a transracial identity.